Ben here from Gwinear Angling. Welcome to the Gwinear Guide to Watergate Bay. So, Watergate Bay, probably one of the best all-round beaches in the Newquay area. If you came to us in the shop, for example, and said you wanted to do a bit of beach fishing for a mixed bag of species, like you want a chance of ray, bass, smoothhound, even Gilthead Bream, this is the beach we point you towards. This has a lot of potential to produce those kinds of fish. It also produces some really nice like specimen fish as well. There's been big bass here in the past, double figures, no problem. We've seen ray to 13 pound off here, double figure smoothhounds, nice sized giltheads, even seen fish like congers over 20 pounds here. It can really throw up some nice fish. Part of the reason for that is it's a long, unobstructed piece of sand. There's an awful lot to go out here, an awful lot of ground for fish to explore on the hunt, and lots of room for you, the angler, to explore as well. With that long, expansive sand comes some challenges, like there's an awful lot of tide runs along here, and most people who know this area well tend to fish it on the smaller tides because of that. It's a much more manageable under those conditions. Anything over a sort of 6 metre, 6.5 metre tide on Newquay scale, you're going to find that quite a handful. Although a lot of the fishing here is at close range, so you don't necessarily need to cast a long way and be picking up a lot of tide on your lines. You can cast really short here and catch fish. One time I came down here with my mate Lawrence, and I was chucking it, just a little chuck out in the sea. He was literally dropping it at his feet, and he outfished me about 6 ray to 1 before I realised what he was doing, and literally started just wading out and dropping it in the water. It can be like that here sometimes. The ray and the bass come in really close here sometimes, so especially on the flooding tide. So don't forget that. It's very easy to overcast on this beach. So species wise here, the big four are sort of your bass, ray, smoothhound and Gilthead Bream. So bass and bream you can pretty much cover with lugworm. That's always a reliable bait on this beach. Just be aware that you will catch a lot of the smaller bass with that, but the bigger ones will take it too. If you want to pick out a big bass on this beach, you'd be advised to go for a big piece of meat like a mackerel, or like a whole mackerel or a whole squid, something of that nature. A big meaty bait is what the bass generally fall to here. And that'll also catch you ray as well. The ray love squid on this beach. Been lots of good ray caught on whole squid. You also get fish on prawns here, and prawns will put you in with a good chance of smoothhounds too. Smoothhounds love prawns. They'll also take squid here as well. The smoothhounds are one of those things that they're sort of here today, gone tomorrow. They'll be in the area for a while, and it's really pot luck whether you catch up with those. So don't hedge your bets on that. The best tactic for fishing here is to fish, maybe fish a different bait on each rod, fish 2 rods, and then you can cover all your bases effectively. Your Gilthead Bream will take your sort of lugworm, you can use razor fish for them, that sort of thing. Again, the giltheads are sporadic here. They're not here all the time. They'll generally be here when the conditions suit them best, which is like a little 2 to 3 foot of crumbly surf. Little northwesterly wind. This beach loves that northwesterly wind, and you're in with a good chance of a gilthead. They're normally caught at the extreme ends of the beach, so on the extreme right or the extreme left. Giltheads are sort of very much drawn to rocky features, so that's the best place to seek those out if that's what you're after. All the other species you can encounter all the way along the beach. There are hot spots, but they can change with every tide, so the best thing to do is to come here, have a look at it in the daylight, and sort of look for all the little gullies and depressions in the beach that you can see, and mark those out. Remember those, because they're a good idea to fish over later. So as far as the best times of day go, generally speaking, if you target those sort of evening times going into darkness, you're not going to go too far wrong here. If you fish during the day, you can still pick up bass and ray, especially when it's rough, but you can have problems with water users. You get a lot of surfers here, bathers, that sort of thing, and generally speaking, you're going to have a much easier time of it if you fish going on into darkness. That bit from sort of 8 o'clock through to midnight really seems to be a hot time on this beach. Can't tell you why, but it's done the business for me plenty of times. So gear wise, you're going to need some pretty stout beach gear for this venue. Like I said before, there's a strong tide runs right across it. and typically you're going to need a lead of at least 5 ounces to hold bottom. Whether that's a grip lead or a pyramid is up to you. I tend to use a grip lead. I most typically use a 6 or a 7 ounce here just to anchor my bait where I want it. But if you want your bait to move around, a pyramid lead can be a good option. As far as like main lines and that sort of thing go, like just a general 15-pound main line with a shock leader is fine here. There's really no snags to speak of. There are rocks out there, but they're obvious. There's none below the low tide mark. This all as you go further back up the beach. But you should have ample time to scope out where those are and make sure you avoid them. Although this is a nice, clean, flat, sandy beach, there are a couple of safety issues that I need to make you aware of. First, when you come down to the beach, you can choose to go straight down to the water. You can choose to go right or left. If you go right or left, then behind you are cliffs, and the high water mark is past the bottom of those cliffs. So if you choose to go right or left and you outstay your welcome on this beach, you're going to find yourself halfway back up a cliff until the tide goes out, and that is not a position anyone wants to be in. So just be aware of that when you're fishing. Keep an eye on where the water is, keep an eye on what's behind you, and make sure you get off this beach before the water level butts you right up to the bottom of the cliff. Another thing is that because it's so flat, if you're fishing a slightly bigger than normal tide, the surge here, especially when there's a bit of a swell running, can be really, really strong. I've had my box dashed loads and loads of times here. In fact, I don't even bother taking a seat box down here anymore. I just take a little rucksack and generally keep it on me. Because of that reason, like, you do get monstrous surges here, and they can take you out, and if you're not careful, they'll sweep you right off your feet. So take care, stay well back from the water, and I would advise against fishing on those spring tides when there's a big surf running, because you're taking a bit of an unnecessary risk there. So parking wise, I'd always advise going for the council car park, the bottom of the hill, set back a ways from the beach. The evening rate there is not too bad, and it's actually free from midnight till 9 AM and free at all times from the 1st of November to the 31st of March, so pretty good there. So I hope you've enjoyed this Gwinear guide to Watergate Bay. It really is a cracking beach and a big favourite of all of us in the shop. If you've enjoyed the video, why not check out another in our Gwinear guide series? We'd really appreciate it if you like the videos and support the channel by subscribing. If you're in the Newquay area and looking to do some fishing, come and see us in the shop at Gwinear. It's the #1 place in the area for fresh bait, quality tackle and sound local advice. Look forward to seeing you in there. Cheers.